Hi everyone, and in this video I'm going to take a retrospective look at Aliens Fireteam and whether a year later it's worth your time and money. Aliens Fireteam is a third-person shooter which takes place in the Alien universe 23 years after the original films were set. It's very obvious it's mostly inspired by the film Aliens, given it's centered around the Colonial Marine Corps. The story begins when the USS Endeavour receives a distress call from a Katanga refinery orbiting the planet LV-895. The refinery was previously thought to be destroyed, and now it's your job, of the fireteam of Colonial Marines, to board the station and investigate the situation. From the outset, the Marines quickly discover the station are overrun by xenomorphs, or aliens. The first mission sees you rescue a Weyland-Yutani scientist, and I won't go into too much depth with the story for some of you who still haven't played this yet, but I mainly want to focus on the gameplay and where I think this game sits with the other Alien games released over the years. It's fair to say, for a franchise like Aliens, which should so easily have translated into a game, there are very few examples of where this actually worked. Ever since the release of Aliens, I've been patiently waiting for a game to replicate the movie experience. It was such an influential film at the time, and you see this influence in the likes of Halo and Starship Troopers. In 2010, we got the release of Alien vs Predator. This game featured not just Colonial Marines, but also the aliens and the Predator, obviously. In this game, there are 3 separate stories for each of the different factions. So whilst it did feature Marines, it didn't really feel like it fit in with the universe. Not worst game in the world, I certainly had fun at the time, particularly in multiplayer, but it wasn't the experience I was looking for. That was supposedly promised 3 years later with Gearbox Software's Aliens Colonial Marines. I remember seeing the trailer for this and being absolutely blown away. Unfortunately, when the game was finally released, it was far below everyone's expectations. Shoddy graphics, poor AI, and it was just glitched to shit. It was terrible, and it was so disappointing given I'd been waiting for this for so long. It's almost like the game developers just couldn't make a good Alien game. Apart from the excellent exception of Alien Isolation, I highly recommend you go and play that, like right now. So we come to Aliens Fireteam Elite then, and it's fair to say my expectations were pretty low. I took the punt and bought the game on release, and I have to say I'm so glad I did. At the time, the game only had a handful of different classes, difficulty settings, and the 4-mission campaign mode, but it was enough because the gameplay experience was so true to the original film. I highly recommend playing this game through headphones so you can really immerse yourself in the environment. The authentic sound of the pulse rifles and the scream of the xenomorphs, they have nailed it to an absolute T, and the sound design is amazing. It retains that haunting kind of underscore that was also present in the films. The gameplay itself sees you squad up with 2 other Marines. If you're not playing with your mates, it'll set you up with 2 AI, which are more than capable for the task at hand. You have a selection of weaponry, again lifted straight from the films. My favourite is what I call the Vasquez, which is a pulse rifle and a smart gun. You can also bring with you gadgets which can be used at any point in the mission. They range from deployable sentry turrets to incendiary ammo. You have to be quite strategic with their use because they are limited and best used in scenarios where you have to face down a horde. The game does offer quite a bit of replayability. You can level up your character and unlock better attachments for your weaponry, different skins for your character, unlocks for your special abilities, that kind of thing. Assigned to the L and R buttons are your special abilities, and these vary depending on your preference. I like to just go all in. I've got multiple rockets and an area of effect grenade, so when they come close, they just get nailed. What also adds to the experience is a variation of xenomorphs themselves. There are a significant number of different types which mix up the gameplay. You get warriors, which are like the Hulk, and they're just heavily armoured. They take a lot of damage, take a lot to take down. Then you get the drone, which kind of lurks around the map, and they pounce on you whenever you least suspect it. That's pretty annoying. The game is unpredictable when you face xenomorphs and how frequently they appear, so it keeps you constantly on edge. Survival really is down to how well you work with your team, particularly on the harder settings. It's almost essential. The game wasn't perfect at launch, and as I said, there was a lot of room for improvement. Whilst I felt most of the time it was unpredictable, there seemed to be always the token 3 xenomorphs behind you whenever you'd finish facing a horde. So the game like this can live or die on how predictable it is. If you know when the hordes are coming, and then it has a real negative impact on your gameplay experience. I appreciate there are sections which are designed for horde modes, and you can kind of accept that as they usually involve setting off alarms or loud noises, so that's kind of justified because they would naturally attract xenomorphs. So here we are, over a year on, and does the gameplay still stack up? Is it still fun to play? After playing through the first mission again on Intense, I'm happy to say I enjoy the game as much as I did last year, perhaps even more so. There is much more unpredictability to the frequency and the appearances of the xenomorphs, and the token respawn seem to have disappeared. The game really shines on harder difficulties, and you're almost counting every round. I also noticed that along with the ammo dumps, you can collect ammo from fallen enemies. Now, that might have been there before, but I honestly don't remember it. This is 100% the experience if you want a Colonial Marines game. It has the authenticity in the guns, the environments, the Marines themselves. It's all spot on. I would definitely recommend any fan of the original film to play this game. You can find it now for about 20 to 30 quid, depending on where you look. That's a bargain, really, for me. The game did fairly well in reviews, and I honestly think the team behind it need a shout out. All credit to them for finally releasing what I thought was the impossible, decent Aliens game. There is also the release of the Pathogen DLC, which I'm yet to play, but I'm looking forward to it. So, is Aliens Fireteam Elite still worth your time and still worth playing in 2022? Absolutely. Get the game. If you love the film, get this game. I promise you, you won't regret it. It's so much fun. So, thanks everyone for listening to my two penneth. And if you like my videos, like and subscribe. Cheers.